This book is a book called The Third Elephant, and written by me, Penny Dolan, and illustrated by a famous illustrator called Helen Craig, and lots of pictures inside the book, black and white illustrations. This book's a very special book to me because it's the adventure of a small elephant that becomes a lucky mascot, a small wooden elephant, and it begins with a small wooden elephant and two older grumpy elephants in the attic of a room, in the attic of a house that's about to be demolished. And in the room there is lots of old furniture and the room is full of dust, but there is one thing in this room that the third elephant loves, and that is a model that he calls the beautiful white palace. And he realizes that the house is about to be demolished. He's told by the mice that he must make a wish, and what he wishes is that he will see the beautiful white palace. Now, of course, the palace is the Taj Mahal. In the story, the third elephant makes a wish, and he feels tingling and he thinks something is going to happen, and the third elephant gets thrown out of the window of the house just before it's being demolished, and he gets caught by a little girl called Sarah, who is a flute player, and she loves this little elephant and the smile on his face, and she decides she will keep him as a lucky mascot. And I particularly chose the flute because you have the god Krishna, is that correct, who plays the flute, so I wanted to have the Indian theme within the book. And she has the little wooden elephant, but then she realizes that her big sister Nita is going on a trip to India on a sponsored bike ride, and Nita and Sarah don't get on. And then just before Nita is going on her bike ride, and she's a big teenager, Sarah hears Nita crying. And she goes into Nita's room, and Nita is saying, supposing I don't make it. Suddenly all her confidence is gone. And so what Sarah decides to do secretly is to put that little wooden elephant, her lucky wooden elephant, into Nita's bag. And Nita takes the little wooden elephant all the way to India, and it's hung on the bus so it can look out the windscreen, and it goes on the bicycle on a thread, so it goes all the way around the journey through different parts of India, and then eventually Nita arrives back. But stories always need three parts, and although the elephant has to see the Taj Mahal, there's something else the elephant needs to learn about, and that is the real elephants of India. And it's written from the point of view of, the elephant, what he sees a lot of the time. Now, I had the problem that if he's just seeing things all the time, it makes it a bit boring. And I developed the idea of the world being full of little mice who all know each other, who can pass the message on. So if you have two mice, you end up with six mice. If you have six mice, you end up with lots of mice. So the whole world is full of little mice. So everywhere the elephant waits, the little mice come up and say, "Are you the elephant? Are you the elephant that's going to see the beautiful white palace?" And one brings a little bit of a mirror so he can see what an elephant looks like. I did lots of research because when I wrote it, I hadn't been to India. So I had to do lots of research. And if you do lots of research, sometimes you try and put it all in the book, and that makes it a boring read for children. So I had to go through it again and think, what did you want to say here? What did you want to say here? And leave out bits that weren't needed. I couldn't put lots of detail in. At one time I wrote it and there was so much detail in, it would have been a big fat book, which is no good for children. So and in fact, I'd given the book up. I thought, this is a dead book. And then one day I went past a shop, and in the shop there was a beautiful, beautiful model of Lord Ganesh with a very happy smile, lying back, being full of confidence, and saying to me, get on and write it again, start again, be full of confidence, make your journey. And I thought, yes, I'd read enough to know that that was the message. I've always enjoyed children's books. That was when I was a child myself. But when I grew up, I became a primary teacher. So for many years I was with children and they were enjoying their books, and as well as that I got to read lots and lots of children's books, and eventually I decided that that's the one thing that I would want to do. And by then my children were grown up. When you're a writer you don't make much money, so if I didn't make any money my children wouldn't starve, you know? So I decided, no, okay, now it's my time for trying out writing. And so I began writing, but also telling stories, because I love to tell stories. The difference between writing and telling stories is with writing everything has to be in there. But if you're telling stories you can put gestures, you can change the voices, you can make your body into the shapes, and you have the energy of the story. Whereas all of that has to go into the choosing of the words, putting in the little descriptions, not too much research, you know, and dialogue and creating the characters. So they're two different art forms. If you wrote down exactly the words you use for telling a story, and it was a long story, it would not have enough life in it. So you have to use different skills for writing to storytelling, but I like both of them.